I've said is a lie. And do your own research. Take responsibility. Have we not ever said that? Haven't we always told people to take their responsibility? And we give them reference points so they could do research. And we also tell people you don't have to agree. It's not about agreement. It's about solving problems. Prove what I said to be a lie. And in the process, you'll learn.
I just blocked somebody because they were, they saying that you were on that QBS. But we get a lot.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter when you try to prove anything to anyone.
Yeah, folks need to get their head out and saying when it comes to what's really going on. So we just hope.
That's on a low level what's going on politically.
Right.
And it affects us because they're controlling our state.
I don't know if you know this, but this question asks you any recommendation on eliminating jumpers. I'm not sure if they're asking about quantum jumpers. Ask for it's going all over the place. Eliminating jumpers. Okay, I'm not sure.
I can answer it in another way.
Okay.
Most of you are, and that's all of us really, are being held in nature to start thinking quantumly.
Yes.
And to come above and out of the third dimensional energy, which is why we've always said to you over the years that some of the things that we're doing today, and that's past tense, including what I talked about in this lecture 203 that I read from around the corner 18 years ago. It is because we must start to exercise the mind to prepare for the changes that are and will be taking place. And it will be by the will and the free will of all to either move on and let some of these things go or not. So whosoever will, let them come. Whosoever will, let them hear. But you will not be putting your responsibilities on others. There will be no more sacrificial Jesuses if that's what we've been trained in. Get over it, dump it, and start growing. And that's the truth. And so we're all held to the responsibility of actually using our free will and start creating our own condition, etc. So my position would be to get people thinking together, thinking again, so that we can stay on a high vibrational level and actually evolve with that which is good. And for those who want to stay negative, they will be tied to the third dimensional energy. That's their choice to do. For those who want to move on, then you have to start thinking quantumly, and you cannot hold others responsible for your thoughts. For your thoughts, your moral and ethical compass is your thoughts, and it is your choice to adhere to them or not. And the results and rewards are your own. Whatever you sow, so shall you reap.
His question, Justin James, could you please ask Grand Chief, with all this going on, the V controversy, the planetary shifts going on,
that's a diversion.
How is the Galactic Federation involved behind the scenes?
It's always been that way. And if you notice over the years, like I've always said, Dr. I usually don't go there, although I'm aware of a lot of those things, because
I'm there a lot.
People have a tendency to stop taking responsibility for the now, the present, the self, and keep looking to the outside. And this is why I don't go there, because the strength is actually in yourself. And many of those who've been wanting to conquer you, and many of those who have conquered you thus far, has depended on you keep looking out, for outside gods. Most of the God principles or the God sellers that have been given to you are actually what you would call daemons or lesser gods who have claimed to create you, and they actually have not. They have tampered with you, yes.
Absolutely.
But they have not been your creator. Now, so the deal of is what is within you and in your DNA and in your consciousness is what's left of you in your reality, in your real true form. And that is the divine. Adhere to that, and their successes will be checked.
And may I add this to the questioner when asking about what the Galactic Federation is doing behind the scenes, how are they involved? One of the things I know for a fact is that in most cases they observe and do not get involved unless we ask for their assistance, and we're being so distracted that we're not connected to that. We don't know how to reconnect with our galactic brotherhood.
People for years, Dr. Naila. Remember the rules here at Midgard. For the most part, they do not interfere unless we request.
And we are being so distracted, we don't even believe it is something we should be doing.
For lessons, and you agreed to be here, most of them. Now, there are a few that, by circumstance of interference, are not necessarily here by their own will, or at least on the immediate surface, etc. However, as a general rule, all of the beings, all the energies here that have manifested in the third dimensional plane are here because to be fixed, etc., to learn lessons, and some are here to observe. And this goes back to what we taught, 25 years ago or so about the monad and nomad, that concept. Well, that concept is a reality of the spiritual or experience of the spirit man in human flesh. And so the divine beings manifest in human flesh, etc., concept must be looked at, and also we must take responsibility and stop looking for our idol gods outside of ourselves. And I'm suggesting that would be the most successful way for us to achieve what you call the ascensions that people are actually seeking.
And I believe that what's going on with the V's is another diversion. Not only is it a diversion, it's another attempt to further nullify the ability to ascend.
Now, keep in mind, for those of you who do some research, keep in mind what they've been doing since the 1940s, is that they've been actually dealing with metal particles and nano technology in those V's, or interfering with the crystal stream, because they've been doing experiments with mice and rats for years to create hunger, to turn it off and on, etc. This is again how they've created much of the sicknesses and the stress and the diabetes among the people by actually by the flipping of a switch, actually making people think that they're hungry when they're not, in order to make them sick, then giving them foods that are modified that have no nutritional value, and so the people will overeat, trying to give themselves food and energy that they need, but they never get. And this is again why many people who don't understand the war operations of the psychic attack don't recognize why so many people, particularly in North America, distinguished from the rest of the world, so many of us are overweight by virtue of actually attack through other V's that were given to you actually earlier. And also know this too, that autism that they put in the children, etc., is reversible. A lot of people don't know that. They don't want you to know that either. So if we're going to get into some of these things, I just want to throw that out there.
August 27th, we'll be able to talk about a lot of things on August 27th. Absolutely.
But keep in mind, we're under attack. And it's like this. Use your common sense. If someone is lying or misrepresenting, why would they block you? Why would they shut down sites? Why don't they allow the people who are exposing certain truths make fools of themselves? The real deal is that indexus librorum expurgatorius and indexus librorum prohibitorum are still in effect. that's commonly known universally as the Great Christian Book Burnings. It hasn't changed, it just has different names. So now they talk about demonetizing people's accounts, their sites or communication sites on social media. Their operations did not change, they just have different names. And so all of us must be working toward cognizance and consciousness to reject the schism operations that are going on multiple levels. And if you start focusing on not blaming the Greys for what the hybrid Europeans are doing and blaming on the Greys to divert your attention from them, I think would be more effective in changing these conditions. And the other thing is, stop calling these people who are claiming to be constitutional officers, stop calling them officers, because they're not. There are no constitutional officers operating at North America as we speak. They are all de facto. I don't care what name they take. That's a fact. So observe them and watch them battle, because keep in mind, those who would honor treaty and constitution would have been doing that quite some time ago. But now that they're battling over this estate since the nations of the world, and remember, we've been telling you all for the last 7 years that the nations are going to stop buying U.S. Treasury bonds, and that you're going to have a feedback loop. If you all go back and to some of our lessons here or lectures at We're Awakening Minds, we've been telling you this for the last 7 years to give some of you some insight to start preparing yourselves for what was to come. What you're seeing, it is already at hand, and some of this politics are what we told you about actually years ago.
Here's a question. Asia Andrea Bay says, please ask Brother Taj if he has been getting any dreams he wants to share about what's coming.
Well, I've been doing that for quite some years. I'm doing mostly what I'm doing now, to be honest with you, is observing. To be absolutely honest with you. Because, you know, I think last year I started telling you that on Master Off, what I was actually saying is pretty much people, wherever they are spiritually, wherever their heart commitment is, that's where they are. And it's sort of like if you're talking about a storm or something coming, it is for the point of aiding people who are willing to use their intuitive mind to see things and to prepare themselves and people they love and their families to survive the turmoil that's being put upon us. But when you're already in the storm, it's like saying, I'm not necessarily inspired to talk about getting an umbrella when the storm is already here. So for the most part, I've been pretty much observing. And actually, if you pay attention to sometimes in this last year or so, me being redundant and getting bored is because I've already told you years ago, to be honest with you. Now, as far as other insights that you might say, some things I have not spoken because many in the dark priesthood are active trying to hurt people. And if you say certain things now, they will attack others. One of the things that I've recognized over the years with the hybrid Europeans, if they find someone who's spiritually strong that they have not been able to hurt, they'll hurt people around it. So some things I don't say deliberately for that purpose. However, so many things are actually ongoing right now to their negative. I'm kind of observing them trying to block and trying to destroy, and actually divine nature turning their own traps on themselves. So I'm doing a lot more observation now and not necessarily trying to project, not that I can't, because I don't want to also distract people from paying attention to what's already going on and taking responsibility. Because one of the things, and if you see a lot of even some things that we discuss with each other now, people, many of the people are still in that psychology of looking for a sacrificial lamb, which must that psychology must leave. There's another reason why some things that I see that I don't talk about, because even with some of the statements that were made earlier, where people try to make people take this position of savior, etc., and whether they're qualified to save them type thing. And that whole concept is corrupt and wrong. If it's anything, I unconditionally reject that whole concept. But I do promote self-responsibility. And as we talked about, a moon ago, respect the intuitive mind, because much of what you ask is already with you. And particularly now in this placement. In this cycle placement, most of what you ask for, you could answer it yourself. But again, because we know that some people are still groggy and not awakened to a degree that they need be, is why we continue to do what we do.
There is a principle that's not only in the Bible, even though we know that comes from a whole lot of other texts of other literature, but also when they talk about the law of attraction and so forth. And it's simply this: ask and it shall be given. Knock and the door shall be open unto you. So a lot of things we don't have because we don't ask and we don't think that we're gonna get it, and we're always looking, like you said, we have that savior complex. It's always got to be something.
Get rid of.
Absolutely, got to know that it's within you.
The devil's in you and the God is in you. This is why, if a lot of people will study Professor Drew's philosophies, a lot of the keys were already given. And a lot of people will repeat them, but we do recognize that people have not necessarily looked into the simplicity of certain things that were already given to you. Just needs to be applied. And it's interesting how some of your Gnostic philosophies have been given and the people are asking for them, and they've actually already been given the answers. And this goes back to, where we often get into the habit of repeating phrases or philosophies without examining what we are saying. Mm-hmm. Like whosoever will, let them come. Whosoever will, let them hear. Mm-hmm. And the key is will. And this is important for everybody who's listening tonight. The will and the consciousness of humanity is severely being attacked as we speak. And if you will concentrate in those areas to redeem yourselves, much of the greater work for the upliftment will be done, even with people who think they have no power. And this is what we're moving to. This is what we're trying to encourage the people to respect. This is why we did the lecture moon ago or so of respecting the intuitive mind, because we know that much of that connection is there. It actually is. It's not mere philosophy. That's a fact. So they're attacking your DNA. This is why they want to put those metallic nanoparticles in you with the V, because that's the actual fact. And so because as we've talked about years to people, letting them know that we are already biological transceivers. You must know about the biological form of humanity. That's number one. Number two, knowing that biologically or scientifically, they've been experimenting with nanoparticles in the V's, and it didn't begin now. They've been doing it for quite some time in order to control the mind control, etc., which is why you see them desperately trying to get the people to take this V, because they're actually losing power on multiple fronts. And so these are acts of desperation on the point of the dark priesthood and the P2 Masons, etc., who've been misrepresenting themselves as Egyptian adepts. Keep that in mind. They are not. Yes.
Oops, I didn't drop that. But I'm reading.
Yes.
I'm reading.
Dr. Nail is reading this book. So
I highly recommend it. The Popol Vuh.
This might be helpful to many of you,
especially in terms of what's going on now, because in that text, like it's sort of like the so-called Mayan Bible.
Yes.
They talk about when we were tampered with,
yes,
and how those who did the tampering felt that we were too intelligent. and they
They're
wanted
trying
to
to shut,
dumb us
shut you
down.
down.
And one of the things they did was sprayed stuff on, like,
Yes.
so
So
chemtrails are not new.
They're not new.
It's in this book.
And flight is not new.
Absolutely.
See, so you've been lied on multiple fronts, and the attacks are more serious than most of us think. However, it is not for you to be so intimidated to think that you have no power. The deal of it is keep in mind, respect the intuitive mind, know that will and intent and consciousness are under attack. If you're aware of that and focus in that area, many of the energies and the directions that humanity needs to go in, including the osmosis of knowledge, will actually activate. This is what they don't want you to know about yourselves.
I'm gonna put this question up. I think it's very interesting. Boomin Gumbe almost looks like Nigar. I'm from Gumbag Nation in Terra Australis, falsely claimed as Australia. I need some knowledge to raise my people.
Same principles apply all over, because remember the same. Now keep in mind, in that area, which was also actually part of what, contrary to what people think, part of Mu and Pan, and what they call land exclusively together. There's been heavy focus in that area.
In that area, yeah.
In that area, because of the, what you would say, more purity of Aboriginal blood. And over the years, many of the family in that area or geographical area are more cognizant of what you might call outside or off-world communications. And many of the brothers and sisters in that area, by not being bombarded with radio and TV for over the years, are still more in tune with their intuitive mind. And in fact, if avoiding many of the diversions, will be able to communicate or transfer much information to the rest of the human family, etc., to reconnect with nature. There's another reason why that area is under such heavy attack and why they've been eating your children, so that many of the women will not bring in champions. Keep in mind, that's a fact.
So I don't know if the information on the flash,
I could go further
USB drive,
I could go further on that, but I won't at this time.
Would any information on the USB drive be helpful over there, or no? Not as much as
the conscious. The USB drive is more or less to bring a state of mind to get people to start rejecting the schism operations of the hybrids who have been pretending to be government. If that is achieved, that is the real missionary work of the flash drive, to be honest with you. To kind of encourage people to get to a point where nature starts taking over. You know how, like you say, if you're kind of pushing a car uphill and you get to the top, and if you get to the top and let it go, that's kind of what we do with the flash drive. Keep that in mind. Because we know that you have opposition, particularly among our own. Keep in mind, a lot of the schism and a lot of the counter moves against the development or the uplifting of fallen humanity have been people who are compromised on our side, who have been pretending to be victims, but whose real mission is to cause disruption, because they've been part of the corruption. So don't think that everybody that comes in this skin, etc., has best intentions for your people, because many of them are demons. That's a fact. They fool some, they don't fool people who see.
I'm going to put this answer question up here because I think it's been up here, like I've seen it so many times. How can I, as a 25-year-old Moor, set up a source for Moors that easily provides them conveyances that are made of and fueled by nature? What laws and treaties can I utilize for this?
You're on the path already. Go to Intuit Mind. But remember, you will ask the God within. And again, what happens is that you start associating with people, or people will be brought into your presence who are in that state of ascension, and the keys are there, because even that intent is also projection, and that meditation is also projection or invocation. It actually is, and it'll be drawn to you. Particularly now, as the three-dimensional constructs are falling apart, which we've been telling you in the last couple of years. Almost everything in the institutions that were constructed in the third-dimensional energy are collapsing. And so by default, humanity will be pushed ahead anyway. That's why for people who are less studied, I just say start looking at the energies of Uranus, and it'll tell you a lot. Even if you're not what you call astrologically astute. And again, a lot of what people are asking for is actually taking place while we're asking. You know, like, and the other deal of it is too, Dr. Naila, a lot of the ascension changes that people are asking for, the distractions are put out there to kind of distract some people from recognizing that a lot is already taking place even while we speak.
I don't know if you're...
And you'll get to a point where it's sort of like the energy or state of mind of the people when it reaches a certain point, it will be like they call 100th monkey type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, that's where we're moving in that direction already. This is again why you see the multiple strong attacks being made on humanity, which includes, but not limited to, the intrusion upon the crystal stream known as the V.
Well, here is a question. Please ask Taj, I don't know if you are familiar with this movie, to decipher the de facto government, shadow government, or well, I guess what the de facto shadow government is saying in the movie Space Jam Legacy. Thank you in advance.
I didn't see that movie.
Okay.
But I would tell you in general, without seeing the movie, that they're exposing to you a lot of pre-existing ancient technology presented as something new or introduced when actually it's old. And I'll say that without even seeing the movie.
Okay, let me see if there are any more questions. Okay. Action. All right, y'all. Respect each other. Let me see.
And again, I want to remind those of you who are sharing with us tonight to start looking at many of the people who have been making negative statements about the rise of the Moors or attacking them, to start looking at those people who are making the attacks and see what their motives are. And see if any one of them have identified, in fact, a treaty or constitutional law that them brothers and sisters violated. And identify any already established statement presented by any one of those complainants who presented information to show that they violated any laws. And I suggest that you've seen complaints, but you have not seen them show any law that they violated. On top of the fact that I'll show you something that they violated the law, they have accepted the strangers before their own blood. That's the violation that I've been looking at.
This is not a question, this is a comment, but I think it's 3 bases. Control your thoughts. Only allow positive images into the mind. Manifest your destiny. You are the light. Always seek that of the light. You can heal yourself and your circumstances with thought alone. So true.
Exactly. Man is mind.
Ashe.
Man is mind. And this is another reason why the dark priesthood promotes confusion, schism, and fear, to keep you destabilized and to divert your consciousness, because your consciousness is being attacked and your will is being attacked. So those identifying those two avenues of social chess should help a lot of people.
Let's see. Where do we go to request the flash drive? I've been scrolling it across the bottom. The USB drive is the flash drive. If you just text to this number, you will get the link. We have a brand new link. Real easy. Real easy. Just text USB to that number that you see going across the screen right now, and you will get a link after the show, and you can order. It'll take you directly to the order page. Let's see if there are any more questions. Thank you. I don't know, very chic. It's in this chat. Probably. I'm American. Question. All right, here's one. Okay, Brother Taj, what is minimum contact concerning challenging jurisdiction of the court?
See, this is the deal. Recognize that there are no lawful courts operating on the land. That's the first thing you must remember. There are no logically, there are no constitutional courts nor constitutional officers operating on the land.